All right, in this video, I'm going to show you how to get started with sentiment analysis tutorial and how to load your airline sentiment data into the DB2 service on IBM Cloud. Very important, you want to navigate to the IBM Cloud catalog. It's not Cloud Pak catalog, it's IBM Cloud catalog. Then in the left panel here, you want to select databases. After that, you want to scroll down and you want to find DB2, not DB2 warehouse, but DB2. You're going to click here. Okay, now, depending on the region you are in, well, most of you are in the Dallas region, right? Here it is, make sure that you see light service here. Plan is light. Select it, light plan. Then you're gonna click on create, all right? Now, it's going to say that the service has been created. However, it's going to take a few minutes. We need to give it a few minutes to provision. It's going to take us to resource list. It's going to take you to resource list on your individual IBM Cloud dashboard. And if you scroll down, you're going to see the message provisioning in service, okay? Now, you're going to have only one instance of the DB2 service. On a student account, you cannot have more than one instance of DB2 service. For me, it's a little bit different because faculty account works differently since I need to do a lot of testing. But this is a unique service instance name. Your service instance name might be slightly different from mine. It might be different, will be. Now, while this is provisioning, what we can do is we can go to the classroom and I'll show you what you need to do here. You have in assignment folder, you have the airline sentiment data. Please do not open the file. Instead, you're gonna save the file to your hard drive or whatever you want to, where you want to save it to, perhaps desktop, right? You're gonna save it on your desktop, but please do not open the file. Again, it's important. Now we're gonna go back to this here. So now it says active. See this? If you see this green checkbox and it's active, it means that your service is ready. You're going to click on the service. See this DB2NQ? I clicked on the service here. Now, before you can launch the service, you need to add the service credentials. Credentials will create your schema name or your database username. If you don't see this option, then you may have created the service from Cloud Pak catalog, not from IBM Cloud catalog as instructed. So you must see this option, right? If you don't, then instructions may not have been followed. Now click here, service credentials. And right now there are no credentials. We need to generate one. I'm gonna click on new credential. I'll keep this as is, and I'm gonna click on add. What's gonna do now? This is my credential. There is some important information in here that you need to note. First of all, this is your username. Username is going to be your database schema. So for this, in this specific case, you want to take a notepad and you want to paste your username. Just in case, let's copy the password. This is just in case. And we're gonna copy also the server. This is a host name, right? And a port name. Just in case, let's copy this information, okay? But what we really need is this. This is your schema name. Now, once we're done, let's go back here. We're gonna go back to the manage page, and we're going to click on go to UI. This will launch web console that we're going to use to load our data and to run the queries. See, it says go to UI. Now here, it's going to take a couple minutes. All right. So what do I see in here? This is just a resource usage page over the last hour. So don't worry about this now because we have not done anything yet, right? What you will need to do is you need to load the data, right? Because you cannot do any SQL if you don't have data. So how do we do that? See, this here is a slide out menu, slide out panel, and you're gonna click on data in here, right? So now where did we save the data? We save the data on a computer. The data that we are loading is going to call the source, right? Because the source is where the data comes from. In this case, it's a CSV file, right? So we're going to click on the browse file in here, browse files, and I'm going to go to my desktop and find where I saved my airline sentiment data. And I'm going to click on open, right? So this is a file that I selected, right? It's my source. Next, we're gonna work on a target here. Target is where we're loading the data to, right? So if you, well, you may need to zoom in, zoom out, right? Under the list of schemas, you should see your username in the uppercase. Notice that. So I'm gonna take this. If you compare, it's your username that you copied in the uppercase. Let's go ahead and just in case, I'm gonna make a copy here in the uppercase. That's because later on you're gonna need it, and I'll show you why. Okay? When you run queries, you're gonna need it. Now, what we're gonna do here is that we need to create new table, right? New table, and here I'm going to specify the table name, and I want to call it airline sentiment. You want to call it airline sentiment also because this is what the table is called in a code that you're gonna get, right? You're gonna get some code, and this is a table name, or otherwise the code will not work. All right, I'm going to click on create right now. But wait a minute, I'm not done yet, right? What I did was I specified the source, right? I specified the source earlier, which is here. That's a file. And this is a target, the schema, which is your username. And here is a table, right? That's where the data will be loaded. I'm gonna click next. The next step is to define the mapping, right? How will the data be loaded? For most of the columns, it identifies the data type based on data that it's in a file, based on the column width, based on if the columns are numbers or if it's a text. However, during my testing, I found that it was not the case for some of the columns, so we need to fix them manually. Notice that here, the column width is adjustable, right? There is a little pencil in here. So what I did was I created the list here, and you're also gonna have this in assignment instructions. We need to change the width of 5 columns manually. Airline sentiment gold, we need to change it to 8. So let me navigate to where my airline sentiment goal is. You may need to play with the zoom a little bit. Here it is. To change this width to 8, I need to click on a pencil next to varchar 5, and I'm gonna edit this to 8, and I'm gonna click on OK, all right? Then you need to verify that the width was changed as expected, which is good. Next column that you need to change is a name. Each name, you're gonna change it to 19. So you're gonna scroll down, this is a name, and I'm gonna change it to 19. Well, it's because when I tried running it through with 15, I received some warnings, okay? During my testing, I received some warnings because I had some names that were longer than 15 characters, all right? Now, negative reason gold must be changed to 40. Again, I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna select 40, all right? I'm gonna click OK. Next thing on the list is text 186. So I go here and I need to find, this is a text and I'm gonna edit this 186. Okay, and 186, not 1000. And then I'm gonna click on OK. And my last one is a tweet location. I'm gonna change it to the 34. Here it is. This should be 34. Now, 34. So I think I'm ready right now, right? So here, this is basically specifies what column names I'm gonna have in the table and column data types, right? Now, and also have this checked. It means that the first row in the input file, the first row in the source contains column headings, right? I'm gonna click on next. Let's see. Right now, so this is just says maximum number of warnings. When we reach this threshold, right, on number of warnings, then the load is going to terminate, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and click on begin load. Let's see what's happening. It's uploading the file, right? Now it's going to start building the table, and it's going to start uploading data in the table. When it says computing, it was looking at these numbers in here. And what you see is you see how many rows were read from the source, how many rows were loaded, how many rows were rejected. 0. So you have to make sure that rows read, right, match the rows loaded and 0 rows rejected. Also, look at this. This is important, the load start time and the load end time, right? You are asked to take a screenshot of successful load. So your screenshot must show the name of the input file, right? And here, this is a target table, your schema, and this is a table name. Over here, I see how many rows were read, rows loaded, rows rejected, and also the start and end time, right? Now here, we want to make sure that there are no errors and no warnings. Warnings may or may not terminate the load, but remember, if the number of warnings is going to reach the 1000, then the load is going to fail, right? The load is going to fail. Now, here you have an option to view table. This is just basically a preview the table that you have loaded. All right, so those are the data types, etc. Okay, now suppose that you forgot to forgot to take the screenshot of the load status. No problem. This is how you access it. Go here, you're going to go to data, and then you're going to go to, this is load history. All right, and this is where you see. This is how you can access. You just double click on this and it will open the load history. All right. Now, what else you're going to be doing here is that you're going to be running queries, and there is another way to check what tables you have. Look, you're going to go here, you're going to go data, then you're going to see, click on tables, and it's going to show you the tables that you have, right? Suppose that you did not follow the instructions and your code and your load returned errors, right? Suppose that we did not follow the instructions. What do we do? Well, not the end of the world. You would need to go to the schema, click here, see this, I'm under the table, stop. I find my schema, I click on it. This is a table, right? Well, I'm not gonna do it, but I'll show you. I'm gonna click on this, and actually, I need to click on the table name. And in here, I have multiple options, and one of the options is to drop the table. Drop table will remove the table completely and will reclaim the table space. It will remove the data and the table structure, okay? So if your load fails, this is what you need to do. Go to tables, select your schema, select table, and do drop, okay? This is how you would redo the load. Then you also going to run the SQL. Look, I clicked on the SQL, right? And I need to click on create new because I'm not using the templates, right? I'm gonna do create new. This is what's called SQL Editor. You are going to receive, this is a script that is also in the assignment folder. You're gonna receive this code. Let me show you how to run it. Okay, so you're gonna go back to here and you're going to paste this code. Now, you are asked to turn in the output of this query, right? So now look, let me do this. Look here. This query, the third query, it's checking the table's metadata. So it's data about the data. There is a table called systables, and it's located in the IBM schema, it's a system schema, sysIBM, and that table stores information about the tables. Now, for creator, you need to put your schema name. So remember that a few minutes ago, we wrote down the schema name in the uppercase, right? All database objects metadata is stored in the uppercase. So I'm going to replace my XXX, and I'm going to replace XXX here, and I'm going to run this code. I have an option here. I'm going to run all. Run all is going to run all queries that I have. Okay, all queries that I have in the editor. Now, what it's doing, when it's done, you're going to see the green check mark. If you don't see the green check mark, it means that your query contains some syntax errors. Okay, so the first one is basically just selecting these 5 columns from airline sentiment table, and where a clause filters the row, specifies which rows to select. The second one returns the row count, right? How many tables, how many records were loaded, and this number must match the number in a load status page, right? Okay, load history page. This table stores the information about table. Table name, the time when the table was created, number of columns, and who created it, which is you, right? And another table, here it stores the column metadata, right? So for example, the table name, column name, who created the table, column data type, and nulls means that if the column can have missing values, right? And length, it's a number of characters, right? It's a column width, in other words. All right. So this is the first part of the assignment before you start working on R code. And the R code will be provided to you in the assignment folder. To run the R code, you would need to log in to Cloudpack, right? And you could reuse one of the projects that you created for the last assignment, right? Because RStudio would need to be called from the project. All right. So thank you very much for watching this video. Have a nice day. Let me know any questions you may have.